So let's get going with the dreaded after lunch Sunday afternoon spot, but that's all right, we're going to make the best of it. So the title of this session is called Email Marketing is Not Dead. And I'll go into a little explanation on that title as we get into this. But first of all, who am I? So I'm Kevin O'Brien. I am the Senior Director for the Constant Contact App Connect Developer Program. And Constant Contact, for those of you who don't know, is an online marketing service for small businesses. So we have over 500,000 small businesses that use our tool to send out their newsletters, promotions, announcements. Our flagship product is email marketing. We also have event marketing, surveys, social campaigns, and others as well. And we've really, I've been at Constant Contact for 11 years. So I've been able to really see this shift in the users who were coming on 11 years ago to those who are coming on today, and how email marketing as a service has really started to evolve and really open up a whole landscape of opportunity for people who are building apps and people who are building software for small business to be able to leverage this, take advantage of it, and actually use it as a front door to acquire their own customers. So anybody who's interested, we have set up a special discount for the ISVCon. So if you create a Constant Contact account through that tiny URL, CTCT ISVCon, you will receive a 25% annual discount, a free template match where we'll take one of our templates and match it to your branding on the website. That's typically a $100 service, and we'll keep that open through the end of July. So. Anyone associated with ISVCon is able to take advantage of that. So a quick note, the last time I was in Reno was about 2 years ago. I was here for a conference. It was part of it when I was running our franchise program. I came to Reno to speak at a conference, and it was snowing the day I had to leave. And I went to the airport early. My plane was delayed, so I went to the bar and sat down and had a beer with some other people who were also delayed. And while we were there, a plane landed. The plane came from Denver, and this guy here walked off the plane, put a $20 bill into a slot machine 20 feet from where I was sitting, and won $10 million. Right there. You actually think about a lot of things when somebody wins $10 million right 20 feet from you. And I learned a lot about myself. One is that I am a jealous person, and the fact that I was sitting there drinking a beer didn't help things at all. But congratulations to him, right? No, it only made it worse. Yeah. So email marketing is dead. So I've been with Constant Contact for 11 years, email marketing, and over that time, I can't even count the number of times that I've heard the phrase email marketing is dead or email marketing is dying. The first time was about 2005. I was at a conference in New York this time, and somebody came up to me. It was for the Independent Bookseller Conference. And what that made me think about was, I don't know if anybody saw that Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan movie, You've Got Mail. Right, that was on a little bit ago about independent booksellers, and then how the big booksellers are putting them out of business, and you go watch that movie now, and there's no AOL, no Instant Chat, no booksellers anymore. So anyways, this person came up to me and he said, "Hey, I'm glad you're here." He said, "I was just in a session, and somebody said, email marketing is dead, it's going to be replaced." And I said, "Oh, what did they say it's going to be replaced with?" And they said, "The blog. The blog is going to replace email marketing because that's how businesses are going to communicate with their customers." And I said, how many RSS feeds do you sign up for? And he said 0, and I said, well, I think the blog's got a long way to go. It has a purpose, but it's not going to replace email marketing, and it certainly hasn't. If anything, it's one of the things that has made small businesses marketing even more challenging because it's another tool for them. So the next time I heard this phrase, email marketing is dead, I was at a franchise conference in Las Vegas, and I was hosting a business roundtable on how email marketing creates loyalty and all that. And at the session right before my roundtable, one of the people who sell the marketing books, he had a session in front of 1,000 people, And it was literally the minute before my session started, and he said, email marketing is dead. And I was like, hey, wait, I got a round table I gotta do here, right? And he said it's gonna be replaced by social media marketing. And I said, you know, at that point I was like, we didn't know how email and social media were gonna work together, and you know, certainly you could take a look at the landscape at that time and agree with him. But it turns out, no, he was wrong, right? Email marketing is not dead. Email marketing is still thriving. And then one of the most famous ones, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is when the chief operating officer for Facebook said email is going away, right? Because teenagers only text and only communicate on Facebook. And I think the thing that she didn't realize was that we've seen this for a while, but when they get to high school, they get an email account because that's how you communicate with your teachers. Same thing in college. You get to work, you're communicating through email. So email is still pervasive, and will always be, and will be pervasive for a long time. And I heard the president of Zobni, which is an email tools company, and you know, he kind of likened it to privacy, right? So as you get older, you get more private, and you want your communications to be a lot more selective, and that's why communications continue to happen through email. And then, of course, 2 weeks ago, Facebook gave everybody an email account, so yes, she wasn't very... So anyways, email's death has been greatly exaggerated. It is, beyond outside of the website, it's the #1 used tool by small businesses. And they don't manage their own website. The websites are managed by web developers for the most part. So email marketing software is probably the most used tool by small businesses to grow their business. And Constant Contact itself has 500,000 customers. There's a lot of other tools out there as well that have a lot of customers. And the reality is there are millions and millions of people, businesses that are online doing email marketing. And this has really created an opportunity because email is probably the first SaaS tool that they're using as they're growing their business, right? So they're growing their business, they're keeping names on an Excel spreadsheet. You know, they probably have QuickBooks, but their bookkeeper or accountants take care of that for them. And that's not online, that's on a desktop somewhere in the back room. They've got the website that the web developer's doing. So email marketing becomes the first thing that they really interact with on the internet. And it's what they get introduced to and become comfortable using, and then become comfortable adopting other tools from there. And the reason for that is because email makes sense to them, right? They've been doing it all their life. They know how it works. With email marketing, all they're doing is, you know, creating their newsletter somewhere else. They know what it's going to look like when it ends up in the inbox. They can see the immediate results. So there's not a big learning curve for them to jump and adopt this type of tool. So the companies that we call them ESPs, right? The email service providers like Constant Contact that are out there now have these small businesses coming online through their service and starting to thirst for more. And we see this a lot. And it's only going to become larger, right? So the businesses who aren't online today, recognize that email is going to be the most effective tool for them to communicate with their customers. And I'll go into some stats later on. But the number of businesses that will be online doing email is only going to grow. And email is one of the key applications that are going to drive them onto the internet. So the ESPs are sitting there and they're going to take these customers on, and then that's going to create a whole new front door for other types of software providers who want to take advantage and get after the small business. That said, the ESPs have really nailed this thing. And actually, when you look at the last 8 years that I've been in this, there's only a few providers that have come on in the space and had success over that 8-year period. And it's because email is hard, right? This is not a simple thing to do. When you talk about email marketing, you're talking about spam and permission management. You're talking about compliance. Small businesses have no idea what that means, right? They know that they want to send out a message to their customers, and they want to do it right, but they don't necessarily know what right is in this space. So you've got this whole problem of making sure that the people who are sending emails out from your system are compliant with the permission laws and are not going to send out something that can be reported as spam. So these are things that ESPs do all day long, and these are things that a lot of software providers don't necessarily think about when they're building their own software, because I've run into hundreds of different software providers who want to check the box and say they offer an email newsletter, right? They said they're a development team. It's like, yeah, we can just hook it up, we'll put it on a mail server, we'll check the box so you have email marketing. Well, it's not going to be good enough, because it's going to require too many full-time employees to manage the compliance and the permission management aspect of it. In addition, because there's millions of small businesses who are already doing email marketing on the web, why would you try to sell against that? They're already comfortable with it, they like the tool. You don't want to try to sell against something that they're already comfortable using. You want to try to leverage that. So once you get through the compliance part, now you run into this problem of the mail server farms that you have to start to manage, because every ISP is different. And what I mean by every ISP is different is you have to deliver mail differently based on their throttling of receiving mail from the same IP address. There's ISPs in the South who will only receive certain number of emails per hour. If you exceed it, they're just going to start dropping your mail on the floor. So this is a specialty that ESPs are able to provide, that it's going to be hard for an independent software developer to do and to manage. And because the bar for delivery is getting set by the ESPs higher and higher every day, where now if you're an ESP, you have to be delivering mail at probably 98, 99%. An 85% delivery rate, which is what you typically see on some of the homegrown systems, is not going to cut it anymore, because the businesses know when their mail is getting delivered and when it's not getting delivered. And then probably the final reason, I took this from Good to Great. Did anybody read Good to Great? That's that book about how companies can be great. One of the things that book asks you to do is say, what can you be best in the world at? And so when you're building a piece of software for small businesses or for any business, and you get to the point where you want to enable communication, you have to look at that and say, what can you be best in the world at? There's email service providers that are already the best in the world at delivering mail and making it so people can get an email marketing message out, and they do the tracking, delivery, and reporting, and all the things that go with it. So why would you want to build something that competes with that? Instead, you want to leverage that, because 1 out of every 2 customers that's coming through your door is already on an email system. So why wouldn't you want to leverage that instead of try to build your own? So I look at that and I say, with the compliance, with the mail server farms, with what are your core competencies? Those are all reasons why you don't want to be getting into the email business, and you want to be leveraging the ESPs that are already there. Now, email marketing, because it's being used by millions of small businesses, there's a lot of messages that are going out, and people are receiving a lot more mail than they did before. And when they sign up and they give someone an email address, they do expect to receive promotional emails from them. But there's so many that are going out now that there's going to be a relevance problem, right? So the inboxes are going to start to get filled up. Constant Contact sends out 4 billion emails a month on behalf of its customers. Other ESPs, you layer that all in, it's in the tens of billions a month, right? So small businesses in any business wants to be able to continue to do email marketing because they can see the immediate results, but they're going to need to be able to come up with ways to create more targeted and more relevant messaging. The other reason that they're sticking with email is because of the engagement metrics, right? So 20 to 30% of the people that are receiving an email are reading it, and then another 30% of those are taking an action on it. And they're recognizing, getting the brand recognition and all the other things that go with email marketing. And there's stats out now that say when a business is doing things on Facebook, fewer than 10% of the posts they do on Facebook are actually seen by their fans. right? So it's not an effective communication tool. Direct mail, 2%. So email continues to be the tool of choice for businesses to be able to engage and talk with their customers.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So you're saying 20%, when I'm sending out an email, I should estimate that 20% of my customers are going to do something? When you say
They're going to read it.
They're going to read it. So the 20% will open
20 to 35%.
All right, so that's my,
Yep.
that should be my barometer.
Yeah, well, and one of the reasons you're doing email marketing is for brand recognition, right?
Yep.
So they read it, get your brand in front of them, check the box, right? If you're trying to do a sale, you know, depending on how compelling your offer is and everything else, they're going to click through and buy it, so you get more. Yep. And Facebook is still early, but this is why email marketing continues to be the vehicle of choice for businesses who are trying to communicate with their customers. And then the other reason is because it's affordable, right? Businesses can be doing email campaigns for an entire year for a couple $100. Okay, it's an affordable tool because, you know, the software is on the internet. You have there's support if you need it, but you know, it's got that low monthly subscription fee that most people are offering now. So small businesses can be doing email marketing for, you know, a few $100 a year, and that's to be able to communicate with their audience as often as they like. So, you know, you look at all those things combined, and that's why email as a marketing vehicle for business is going to continue to grow the way it's been growing for the last 8 years. And what happened is, at the beginning, when everyone was going through and saying, you know, blogs are going to kill email, and social media is going to kill email, and, you know, text is going to kill email, the reality is email is the driver of all those other things, right? So my colleague at work likes this, you know, likes the phrase that, you know, email starts the fire and social media fuels the flame, right, or fans the flame. And because email is the way that you can get your specific message out in front of that customer at the time that you want it to be seen, right? And then you go and you continue the conversation on your blogs or on your social networks. Dig is no longer a company, so I don't know why they're still in this picture. Was anyone surprised at how much they sold for? 500,000? They were valued at 160 million at one point. That's unbelievable. So because millions of businesses are going to be doing email, you know, we've created this problem, as we've talked about. We've created this problem of a lot of mail in the inbox, right? We haven't seen the open rates drop significantly. You're still seeing the 20–30% open rates, but I think people are starting to spend less time on the email than they did previously, right? So it's more of a glance than a read. And that's why one of the things that people are starting to do now is less is more in terms of content, right? So your email is shrinking because you know they're not going to have as much time to spend reading it, but yet they are still responding at the same rates that we saw 3–4 years ago. But that's where the next frontier for small business and email marketing is going to come. It's going to come from relevance, okay? There's only so much that the ESP is going to be able to do here, because relevance is going to be determined by data, right? How much data do you have around the people that are on your list that is going to help inform you on who you should be mailing to? Because that's really, the more targeted message that you can create, the more likely someone's going to be to take action on it and to continue to want to receive those emails. And this is exactly what we're seeing in terms of what Constant Contact is seeing in terms of our programs, right? We're starting to see that small businesses want these other tools that they're using to integrate and help them become better marketers. We like to say that the integrations make them more effective and more efficient, because the one thing that they don't have is time, right? Time is the enemy for small business. And you can probably think to your own life and think of all the other things that you'd rather be doing instead of copying and pasting or whatever the manual tasks are. We like to say our customers are time-starved and task-focused, right? Because that's really it. They want to do this, they want to do it well, but they're, you know, wearing the hats of hiring the salespeople and putting out the marketing campaigns and putting the schedules together for everybody. So they don't have a lot of time. So the easier that we can make these tools for them to use, the more effective marketers that they're going to become. Now, one of the things that small businesses typically have, so Constant Contact, of the 500,000, I think if you ask the 500,000 how technically proficient they are, most of them would say they're not. Most of them would say we're not technically proficient. And I think there were two big events that happened over the last few years that has gotten them over a hurdle that they don't really, that it happened so naturally that they didn't realize it was happening. Because usually, businesses don't like the word integration, they don't like the word install, right? One of the things that changed that was obviously the iPhone, right? The iPhone came out, and now everybody knows how easy it is to surf, install, and activate an application. And everybody's doing it on all their smartphones. So that was one piece. The second piece was the simplified authentication that we saw. So now, small businesses or any user really is comfortable with authenticating their credentials to another application, right? The OAuth has really made it so that they understand what's going to be expected of them when they're going to try to connect two systems together. So these were two big hurdles that existed that have gone away over the last couple of years, and we're now seeing the adoption rates of integrations really start to go through the roof. So they come with the expectation now, when they're using Constant Contact and they're going to pick up another application, they want to know that it's going to work together, and they're going to know how it's going to work together because of that activation process that's now become so standardized. And we're actually seeing the businesses make decisions, and even ones who are new customers who come to us, we get that question a lot too. Is who do you integrate with software X, software Y? And a lot of times that's going to be their purchase decision. If it doesn't, then they're not going to go with us. So all of this has come together, and what we're seeing is the number of tools that are integrating into these ESPs is really starting to go through the roof over the last year or so. Email marketing has become a front door for other apps that are looking to reach small business, because email marketing is one of the first apps they're using. They're now ready to expand and do other things with it, and the ESPs can become this front door for people who are trying to try and reach a small business. So 2-3 years ago, people would look at an email integration and say, I've got a vertical software solution. I need to put an email marketing system into it. And they would just look to integrate the entire system. And email marketing systems really contain three pieces, right? You've got contacts, content, and analytics. And these types of tools will be looking and saying, how do I integrate? I need to integrate this to round out my solution. So we saw a lot of companies doing that to integrate with us. But what's changed is now we're seeing this whole ecosystem evolve, right? Where you're getting point applications that are trying to make specific areas of email marketing better for the small business. So these are tools that aren't just for email marketing, but they found a niche that they can help a business become a better email marketer, and therefore are using that as the front door to acquire customers. So a couple of, Vubix is a new one that just came on, right? So they actually have engagement marketing software for video companies. So if you have a video on your website, right now it's a video, someone can play it, you got to play it through all the way. Vubix has a tool where when you hover over the video, a pane comes out, and it's going to let you, it's going to let you, one thing, join an email list if you want, but it'll also let you make a reservation because they're going to hook into a reservation system. It'll allow you to print a direction, any time during the video that you can do this. So that's a pretty. And what they're doing is they're using the ESPs to try to get that message out. So people are doing email marketing and doing video. They want to do customer acquisition to tie those two together. A couple other ones, Full Contact and Rapleaf. These are people who can round out round out the demographics of your customer base based on just an email address. So they could let you know if it's a man or a woman, roughly what age they are, what part of the country do they live in, so that you can now create, a lot more targeted lists and a lot more targeted email messages.
Wait, which company was it?
Full Contact and Rapleaf. Yeah, and so Rapleaf is already, they have an integration into Constant Contact, so you can just go and get that, and it'll pull your list out, do it all, and put it back in for you. Digio is one. That's a new one that just came out this past week with us, where if you want to gate like a PDF or a white paper or something, you can easily do that, and you can collect an email address or a lot more information before exposing it. I think they even have a payment option. So we're seeing that on the contact side. On the content side, you're seeing things as well. So Zyto is this new tool that's based in Salt Lake City, I believe. And they have a content aggregation engine, so you can say, I'm a business, so you have the cooking and recipes, right? So I'm a business, I want to know about cooking and recipes, and they'll go and collect all that content for you to let you put articles about cooking and recipes into your newsletter, so that if a month comes up and you're not sure what you want to write, they can help you to aggregate and publish that information. Fan Player, they're putting game mechanics onto email marketing through social coupons. Quick is doing spot sales through the iPhone, where you can take a picture of a product, put a price on it, send it out to your list right from your iPhone. And then the last piece is the analytics, right? So once you've figured out who you're going to mail to, what the content is, you need to know how that's going to measure into your website. And that's what companies like Metrically and Easy Insight and BringShare do, is they'll take your email analytics, marry it against your website analytics and maybe your e-commerce analytics, and put it all together in one view for you. So this is really sort of a big jump that we've seen in the last 12 months, where before, vertical type of applications would be looking for what types of email can I offer through my system, and now you're seeing other applications try to enhance certain parts of the email ecosystem. So it's actually been pretty interesting to see it evolve, and our customers are thrilled with it, because these are typically also SaaS subscription-based models. They can understand exactly what it is they need to do and how it's going to make them better marketers. So for the road ahead, so what do we see on the road ahead? I see that last slide just getting blown out, to hundreds and hundreds of applications that are going to be very specific and offer very specific solutions for, how you do, how does a florist collect email addresses or look at the results of their email campaigns. The types of content that you're going to be able to put in. If you're a restaurant, you should be able to put in your, easily put in your open table or your Urban Spoon reservation widgets right into your campaign. So all of this type of integration that's going on in the email space is really going to just really start to take off, and I think you're going to start to see it get pulled more into the products than they have been today. And email probably is going to start looking more like a CRM type software. Not that it will be a CRM, but the way that, or a website software where you can pull in different widgets and build things and everything. So it's going to be interesting to see it evolve. I think with the adoption of email amongst the small business space, that the opportunity is going to be there for the companies that want to take advantage of it, and leveraging email as one of your initial selling points may serve you well in the future. So don't forget about the tinyURL 25% discount for anybody who wants to sign up. We'll keep it up through the end of July. That's all I had for this. I'm also happy to answer any questions on email in general if you had questions for that as well. But thank you very much for your time. Question?
So about signing up for email,
Yep.
does Constant Contact have any recommendations on sort of the right way to go about getting, you know, people engaged and signed up into your list, or, you know, you've done studies on where the sign up should happen in the process, or do you have anything on that?
So, you know, there's no easy answer for that, right? So the answer is you should be asking people wherever you meet them to be added to your email list, right? So, you know, you should have it taped to your phone so that when your staff is picking up the phone and talking to customers, that they remind them that you have an email list. Because it's going to be the cheapest way for you to stay in touch with that customer going forward, right? The email address is probably the most valuable piece of, you know, demographic piece that you can have to try to turn that prospect into a customer, and even to get that customer to come back through the door. So that's why, you know, that's why on this slide here, what you are seeing, you know, with 1, 2, 3 contact form, iCapture, JotForm, these are all robust form builders now that are going onto these websites, and one of the first things they're doing is sending it off to the ESP so that you can follow up through email. And so that you can collect as much data as you want without the person ever leaving your website, right? So Constant Contact provides a sign-up tool that says join our newsletter. People don't like it because it makes you leave the website. And so and what we're saying is, look, there's a whole bunch of form builders out there that you can use that'll help you collect this information without leaving the website. But, you know, it gets kind of back to permission, right? You can't buy permission. So when somebody wants to sell a list, it's not worth doing, right? But you really the only way is to continue to ask them to join the list, and they know what they're going to receive now when they join it. I mean, it's so pervasive that it's going to make a lot of sense. Yeah, question.
Let's see, a whole bunch of them. If you start with my past customers as a database.
Yep.
And one of the first things that would happen then is on a first mailing is a lot of those email addresses would be dead, gone.
Yep.
Yeah. So you take care of the bounce backs that you did on those. And do I maintain my own database, or do you keep a database so that each time I want to send an email, I don't have to basically start over?
Right, so you load your names into Constant Contact.
Right.
Now any new names have to be loaded in somehow, right? So any names you collect through the month, you know, if you're using a tool that integrates, it's going to happen automatically,
okay.
Right? But otherwise, yeah, but we keep a record of the database in our system.
Okay. And can that database include other information other than the, I assume I can use the person's name in addition to the email address?
Yeah.
Can I include other information in that, or do I have to keep track of that? For example, I want to keep track of when they initially purchased my product, what version they purchased, whether they've done an update, you know, a number of other things that would be in a standard customer database.
Yeah, that comes down to the relevance thing, right? And you want to be able to deliver relevant messages.
Yeah. Now, do I keep that, or do you? And this would all be in an Excel worksheet. So, do I load this up once, or do I keep track of?
Yeah, most customers are keeping track of that type of data outside of our system.
Okay, so I keep track of that.
Yeah.
And you do the other.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is on this system as far as for tracking? I mean, as far as different fields, different information about your email list, obviously, it's more than just a name of the email. What other information is out there specifically on like your system?
Well,
to specify, you know, like obviously we're going to have, say you have 10 products, you're going to send an email for this product customer list. What do you have to specify the differences, you know, different type of groupings?
yeah, so for us, right, for Constant Contact right now, it's a list. You would have to create different lists of people to say, right?
Okay, so I have 10 lists with you.
So we'd have 10 lists. Now, you know, in the future, we hope to make that simpler so that you could say, you know, everyone who
Only
makes
this group,
Yeah,
this
exactly.
you know, and it's all on
do
one
the
list.
and/or thing, right?
Because it's a little more work, but-
Yep.
Oh, so then I would want a separate list for each product, probably? That is for each of my products.
Yeah, it depends on, you know, usually the way people are doing it is when they want to send the communication out. So, you know, so if on March or July 15th you want to send a communication out on product X, you know, so you would take that, you know, you carve that list up and move it into constant contact and send it out, and then just overwrite it the next time.
So
You know.
now, as far as using one of these things to capture or even sign up off my website to join my mail list,
Yep.
I have no idea where to put them as far as the list. You know, if I have those 10 lists, how do I solve that?
Yeah,
Any
usually,
guess?
what's that?
Any guess?
You know, so when they're signing up, you mean? Yeah, I mean, Constant Contact, right now, our tool isn't designed to be CRM or anything. So at the time that they're filling out the form, they're gonna go into Constant Contact, into your general newsletter list, and then into another system that you'll be able to do the carving and make more relevant messaging. Yeah.
So if I maintain my own list, then when I send out to one of those lists, and you would let me know if there are bounce backs about dead addresses,
Mhm.
and then I would just delete that from my list so that the next time I send to that list, I don't include
The bad one.
Yeah.
the bad one.
Yeah, you get to see why they bounced as well. Is it a dead email address? Was it mailbox full? Was it something, you know, you decide what to do with them. You can export a list of that. Or you can just click remove from my, you know, opt them out, right, from your list so that we'll always know never to mail to them.
Does it really make a difference if we take them out of our list that we upload? Does any bad things happen eventually if we keep sending you a bad email address? You know, to send out?
No.
Well, don't the respective email service, like the Yahoos and the Outlooks, don't they get upset if you're sending to bad email addresses on a?
Time after time, yeah.
So your reputation as a sender gets
Right.
compromised if you.
If we know it's a bad email address, then because of previous communication, then we wouldn't send to it.
Do you ask, is there a way to ask a question about whether, to the receiver, about whether they prefer HTML versus text, or is there a way to send messages that are readable?
Yeah, so most DSPs are this way. When you build an email, it'll build an HTML version and a text version. And then, yeah, you can, when people are signing up to your list, you can say, they can choose one or the other if you wanted them to.
Okay, but I would be responsible for deciding whether they were going to get HTML or.
No, they're responsible for it.
Okay, but if I submit a list with.
Yeah, if you haven't collected it, then yeah, then
Do I
everyone.
need separate lists?
Then everybody would get HTML. Okay? If you give them the option going forward to sign up for one or the other, then, so that'll get marked in Constant Contact to just be deliver the HTML email, and we'll do that. We track that for you, so you don't have to work. You don't have to be building two campaigns. You say you build an email once, we create an HTML version, text version, and then when we mail it out, we're looking which version should this person receive.
But what's preferred now, HTML or text?
It's a good question.
So can you track text?
Because I
Nope.
don't even accept HTML, so it's,
You don't?
no, you have to actually go to the step to open it, 'cause issues in the past, so.
Yeah, what's preferred? I think most people are still sending HTML. I think there's a real question around the mobile
I
aspect.
know they look pretty and all.
Yeah, because you get the brand recognition and all that stuff, but I think this device is starting to have a say in that, right? Because an HTML doesn't look the same on this as it does on your web client, right? So there have been studies where people saying text has been more effective, but that could be because most of the people are reading it on this, and maybe that's all going to evolve over time. HTML will still have a place, but the question is, if you can tell someone's going to read it on their smartphone, then maybe you should default it to text, because it's quicker to load and everything else, right? So yeah, I mean, those are the types of trends we're watching to try to make sure that we're advising people of the right strategy. but, you know, this sort of hit that tipping point earlier this year, right? Over 50% of people have a smartphone now, so that's, you're gonna see a lot of behaviors change.
Does your website have examples of emails that people send out, sort of templates?
Yeah. So, you know, this is customer examples, right? So we have a template-based system, so that you choose the look you want, you can change the colors, add the images, and off you go. So you don't have to you're not doing the design, you're just putting in the content.
And then if I wanted to send strictly text, I could just adapt that to adapt.
We have yeah, I think we have a text-only
Just
template.
get rid of it.
Well, I mean, you would choose text. There's a text template,
Oh,
right? So if you wanted to make it look simple, right? You can do that.
How large are your, you have 500,000 customers. On average, what sort of size list are they sending to? And is it every month or more?
It's about 2,000,
Really?
maybe 1,500.
Okay.
And yeah, most of our customers are mailing at least once a month.
Okay.
So we get to 4 billion emails. So.
Right. And if you mail less often than that, is it considered an unacceptable practice?
No.
So the email is still considered okay if it hasn't been contacted, every month?
Yeah, it's if you haven't contacted it in a year, then
Oh,
that's
okay.
when it would kind of go dead on you, right? I mean, you have to, continue to remind them that you're there,
Right.
or you'll be out of sight, out of mind. And even if they opted in to receive this 12 months ago,
They will remember.
they won't remember that.
So what's suggested, you say you have, 100,000 customers.
Yep.
And this has been collecting emails in the last 10 years.
Yep.
Now you want to start doing email.
Yep.
What's general practice to go from there?
Lop off 9 years of your list.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
what was that answer?
Get rid of 9 years worth of the names.
You can't do a, hey.
Well, they're not names, I mean, they could still be customers, so.
If they're active customers, then I would have they're not all active customers.
Oh, yeah. They send me a check every week.
Well,
Anyone who's paying you, yeah, it makes sense, right? But if it's someone who bought a product from you 7 years ago and you never talked to them since, then you don't really have that permission anymore. What'll happen is you'll send it, you'll get spam complaints, and your account will get shut off.
is there a way to check that? That is, if I have had several thousand, well, maybe 1,000 customers a year for the past 5 to 10 years, would there be a way for an initial letter to check to see whether they were still interested?
You can't
Still
use.
alive?
You could try to do a one-on-one email, or you can try to call them, but you can't use an email service provider for it because you don't have that. The
Permission.
Permission has been dropped at that point.
Now, granted, if they signed up for, your email list, which you ever had one, even though you never sent one, you still had that permission. Now, they may not want it now,
Well,
but.
Permission is in the eye of the receiver, right? So it's a luxury to get it, and should be treated as such. Because if you got it and don't do anything with it, and you just let it languish, it'll go away, right? If somebody doesn't remember they gave the permission, then it's as if they never used it at all.
And what is your rule? Is it like, did you say 1 year? Or,
It's a guideline more than a rule. I mean, it's
I go 13 months.
we.
Somewhere under, it's, yeah.
We would need to understand your business and
okay.
how often you're communicating with them in other channels, and then put a plan in place to try to see how many
Yeah,
people.
for example, what I do are add-ins for Excel, and the previous version of Excel was.
You can do an uploader for constant
It's been
contact.
2 or 3. It's been 2 or 3 years since the last version of Excel. So a lot of my customers are still using the version that they purchased during the past 3 years.
Right.
So when it comes time for an upgrade, can I use 3 years worth of customers?
You have to have that conversation with our compliance department.
Okay. Yeah. No,
I'm not going to give the
that's good.
permission on
But
camera. There's a camera right here. You know? But that's the type of thing, because you have periodic customers, an email newsletter is the perfect way to stay engaged with them, letting them know, what's going on in the Excel world and what other people are doing and what they're learning. So maybe
Maybe that you're still around. That's,
right.
someone buys a piece of product, they don't even know if I still exist 10 years down the road.
Right. You want to stay top of mind with them, so that they come back to you for the next added. Yeah. Yeah. So the time to start an email system is now, if you don't have one. And it is it's the best time and money you'll ever spend. It keeps your customers fresh. It gets referrals.
Well, I would not anticipate sending something every month to be this type of customer, but maybe every 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, quarterly.
Would keep
Yeah.
it going. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, every business's needs are different.
Yeah, and then the compliance issue would be what happens the first time I do this, that is how many years back I can
Right.
for that first mailing.
What about assistance in writing the actual email?
That's where I think this company, Zydo, is going to make a lot of money. So a lot of people use a marketing consultant, right? So you can use a marketing consultant to help you do that if you didn't want to take the time to do it yourself.
So that's not something that you guys offer as one of your...
No, I mean we have a team of solution providers. So we have a team of marketing consultants that have joined our solution provider program. So we can certainly recommend ones in your area that we know do a good job and can do it. But like I said, this is one of the areas where we're starting to see companies now build these content type engines to help you build your newsletter content up, and how that all integrates with Constant Contact, and then that way there's less time you need to spend to put the content together. And it could be not that you always want to send someone else's content, but you could say, hey, just comment on an article or something, and it makes it easy to pull all that together.
Because I think I probably would need help on saying, okay, you get your inbox, you've got 250 emails, it's delete, until something catches your eye.
Right.
I'm not going to sit there and read all these things. There's no way.
But you read some.
Yeah, you read some, and it's usually ones that catch your eye if it's not relevant to what I'm looking for.
Right.
Because obviously, you signed up for things, a lot of it. But if it catches your eye and says, okay, stop, all right, I can believe it. But so a marketing consultant or whatever, is that, because obviously I don't want to send these out, people aren't going to read them, because it's wasting my time, my money, and you're still happy, see, you're smiling. But I mean, you want it to work, you want it to, get people.
Well, how many people need to take an action on it for it to be successful?
1 to 2%?
Right. Yeah, I don't know what you sell your products for, right?
Well, what's an action? I mean, it could be you just want them to stay engaged with
Right.
your site. And then so it could, if 20 to 35% is typical for people who just read the email, that's an engagement with that customer that you
Right.
have. Otherwise, potentially, so it's a pretty cool return.
Oh, sure. But, but if I write it, you know what I mean? That's just, I'm not a marketing person. I'm not,
Yep.
I mean, obviously, if I want to talk from my heart, maybe I'll listen, but
Right.
to get them to.
Yeah. So we have solution providers we can put you in touch with who can help you write them.
Are these slides going to be available? In
Uh,
particular, that one?
So this one?
Yeah, well, those are what, third party?
Yeah, those are the third-party
Do
plugins.
they have any special relationship with Constant Contact, or?
I mean, just that they've joined our App Connect development program, but most of them have joined 4 of our competitors' programs as well, right? I mean, they want to. This is why I think this is where the market's shifting, right? They're gonna capture some demand that's out there. And we want them to because it makes our customers better, right? So if our customers can get more out of our tool by picking up this, love it.
I use 2 other email service providers. I send out a monthly newsletter, and neither of them have told me about any of these things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I'm sort of surprised.
Well, that's why I think this is sort of where the ESPs are going, or I think they need to go there if they aren't.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it's not like rocket science. It's just, you know. But the other piece of that is I don't know how many customers they have, right? I mean, you have to get to a certain mass before.
They're pretty big. They were on your slide.
Oh, they were? All right.
One of them.
So, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for hanging around.